Hello and happy Tip Tuesday. I am Lorraine Brock, professional organizer of a company called Get Organized. We service the Dallas-Fort Worth area, East Texas, Tyler area, and the Oklahoma City area. And every Tuesday, I talk about something that's going to better organize your life, whether it be areas in your home, areas in your business, or just life organizational skills. We have been talking about organizing kids' papers the last two episodes. And this is our third episode. So we're actually on a 3-part series. Today is part 3 of organizing kids' school papers or any type of papers that come in the home that the kids are going to be bringing in from other extracurricular activities, including school papers. So we're going to jump in a little bit of what we talked about the previous weeks, just a little bit of review for you guys that are learning and want to put these systems in place. So last week we talked about storage for everyday school papers. And that would be school papers that are like math, spelling, journaling, things that they're not really awesome papers normally to keep, but sometimes you get a really good paper like a journal with a lot of insight into what's in your child's mind that they maybe not verbalizing to you, and you want to keep it. So we talked about everyday school papers, but we concentrated on last week artwork. And I gave some websites of how to archive some of those pictures, how to store them both physically and non-physically. So make sure you check back on part 2 for those topics. And I want to mention that it's really important, if you're going to listen to this segment, that you also listen to part 1 and 2. All these episodes go together to create a system from beginning to end, from when the papers enter your home to how you save them and store them and eventually use them or give them to your adult children when they get older. So don't think you can just take one part of these episodes and glean from it complete understanding of how the system works. It really works all together. And these systems that I've been speaking on are systems that our organizers use. Often we go into homes and organize a particular space and we find boxes and bins of school papers or artwork, and there has been no organization. They're in the middle of their education system and papers are still coming in the home, and we're trying to organize, and then they realize what we can do for them and they're like, "You guys deal with that?" I'm like, "Yeah, we do." And we can do an awesome job. We always say that if you're going to leave it to us to decide on what to keep, we're going to put our, let me just give you a little visual. We're going to put our mommy eyes on, and we're going to be able to look at those papers from a standpoint of being a mom and helping make decisions on what's really important to keep and what's not, and what can just go out the door. So happy to do that for you. So that's what we've been talking about on part 1 and part 2. In this section, we're going to concentrate on the third category. So back a little bit to part 1, episode 1 of this, or actually episode 44. You have 3 categories for kids' school papers or any kind of papers. You're going to have everyday school papers. You're going to have art type papers, and then you're going to have what we call portfolio, and that's what we're going to talk about today. If you organized all your kids' school papers, they would fall in pretty much those 3 categories for the most part, especially when they're in their school years up to 12th grade. So here we go into organizing and putting together a portfolio. So tip number 1 is to build you a binder. And you're going to get a binder that's probably about 1 inch. I would probably recommend 1.5 inches, especially if you're starting out in the younger elementary ages, even pre-K. Absolutely go with the 1.5 inch binder, because you're going to use this binder all the way through their 12th grade. If you're starting right in the middle and you don't have any of those papers, but you're seeing, after you listen to this video, you're saying, "I see the need to keep at least the portfolio papers," then probably a 1 inch binder. But anyway, it's nominal. It's not an issue of a price. It's just the size it may take up where you're going to store it. But you can get a green binder, you can get a white binder, doesn't matter. just get a binder with sheet protectors in it. And on these binders, what I want you to realize is that you're going to create one binder per child. And that binder is going to go all the way through their education years. You're not going to switch binders. You're not going to put all the kids in one binder. I mean, I guess you could, but then you got this big chunky thing, and that even takes up more room. And sometimes you just need one of their binders. So I always liked having it completely separate. And if you wanted to color code one of the child's, this is going to appear backwards to you guys in the video. But you can see here, this one says Callie's and it says portfolio. And I don't have a child named Callie. It was just a demonstration that I did. But you can do something on a printer and print something and put it in here. Or you can just write with a Marks-a-Lot if you don't care what it looks like. But this is going to follow your child all the way through their school career in organizing their portfolio information. And you might, I have to say this, you might be one of those parents that say, I don't keep anything. I don't want it. They don't want it. It's just something that's unimportant to me. And that's okay. You don't have to keep anything. But if I'm going to talk you into keeping something, I would say this is what you want to keep. And it's not a lot of stuff. It's very, very selective. But this is what you're going to want to keep, because it's not just memories and keepsakes. If you're not interested in keeping keepsakes and stuff for them, then this is definitely a system that you might like, because there obviously will be a little nostalgia going back and looking at their accomplishments and stuff, but it's more so for the benefit of them when they get a little older. We're gonna talk about that. So get a 3-ring binder. I would prefer 1.5 inch of a 3-ring binder and some sheet protectors. The sheet protectors are gonna go inside the binder. You can get normal sheet protectors that just slip in the page at the top, but because other things potentially could be smaller things like ribbons that you don't display in your room or you take down, you could put smaller objects in here as well. So you might want to consider something like that, or like this. It's like an envelope. And what I would do is, if I'm going to put one of these in a binder, I'm going to 3-hole punch these. You may be already able to buy these already 3-hole punch, but if not, you can just put them under a 3-hole punch. And I normally mark them, line them up with a 3-hole punch, mark them with the black Sharpie marker, put it in there and press down, and voila, I've got this envelope that now will fit in a 3-ring binder. So love this. This is an option to go inside your binder in addition to the traditional sheet protectors. The other type of sheet protector you could use, it's good for things that are a little bit larger, but you want to keep in its own individual, like it'd have to fit in here, but you don't want to mix it with other smaller things in this. This actually has a lip on it at the top here. You can see the lip. And so things, when it's turned upside down, won't actually come out. It's like a little pocket with a lip on. I love these things. Neither one of these are necessarily you have to have. Just a basic sheet protector will be fine to go inside the binder. So again, one binder per child. And also another good reason to keep the binders separated is that as your children move on in their life, they may take their binder with them. And therefore, if you still have younger kids at home, you want to keep that binder that's just for those kids that still are at home. If you just know that once a year, you're going to be putting into this binder. Remember, we talked about in the last episode, in episode 45, we are going to make these categories of papers by sorting. And then when you get the pile that you want of their portfolio, then you're going to put them in the binder, making the best decisions of all the papers that you see for that category. You are not to do this weekly. You're not to do this monthly or quarterly. You only need to do this during the summer months. So to completely understand, again, go back and watch part 1 and part 2 of this 3-part series. You will have to go back and make sure you understand, but whatever system you set up, including this one, has to be low maintenance. If it's not low maintenance, you're not going to stick with it. It's just going to be another good idea that goes out the door. So make sure you realize you're only sorting and putting papers into your portfolio system once a year for each of your children. And I do that during the summer months after all the papers have been come home and we've gone through backpacks and are ready to start the summer months. Know that also when you're dealing with this binder, there is no organization of it other than the beginning of the binder is going to be the beginning of when you started the system or the beginning of their school career. And then the end of the binder is going to be like their senior years when they graduate. So the beginning is going to be when you start the binder or when you actually start putting that, whatever age group they are, when you start using the binder and putting things into it. And then obviously it goes until their senior year. So, all right, so that was tip number 1, is creating the binder and how you organize the contents going in it. So tip number 2, types of papers you might put in the binder. And this is important because in that third category, which we call portfolio, when you're sorting papers during the summer, you've got everyday, you've got artwork, and you've got portfolio. You've got to know what really constitute portfolio type paper. So think of anything that makes your child get awarded or has accomplishments or stands out amongst their peers. Now, I know you guys know this, but a lot of the kids don't realize this when they're starting out, but they are competing with students, their friends, that are sitting right next to them in the classroom. And not necessarily competition as in grade wise. Obviously that's a personal, thing that they accomplish themselves or don't. But I'm talking about for skills, opportunity would be more like it. Those children that are sitting next to each other, they're going to be competing for the same colleges, potentially competing for the same local part-time jobs, and eventually maybe even jobs that as they come out of their college years. So you want to make your child stand out amongst all of them, and that is nothing wrong with that. And by doing this portfolio, you're going to put them in a really sweet position to be able to have more opportunities quickly opened up to them. It's theirs to get it, but with your help in organizing this, they'll have a head start amongst the rest, no doubt about it. In fact, I mentioned in one of the episodes a couple weeks ago that we had a past person that had heard me speak at a workshop. And she had emailed in and said, I hear you're going to be doing something on papers for kids. And she said, I want to tell you, we've been using it and it works and we love it. And there is no doubt this is a great solution for any family with children. So just remember that. So we're going to go into what things go in the binder. And here's just a little short list. Any kind of state or cognitive test. I believe it used to be the STARS test. That may still exist here in my area of the state of Texas, but whatever those local tests are for you, as well as cognitive tests, those results can go in the binder. Any kind of skill assessment that your children would take during the year, going in the binder. Outstanding character award. So many times students at the very end of the school year will have ceremonies and they'll be given awards, prizes, and, being noticed for good behavior, good citizenship, perfect attendance. And when they get those things, they'll get a certificate, put them in the binder. That's something that's going to go in here. One of the things that my youngest received while he was at a Plano school was I believe he was in 10th grade and he was in ROTC, and he received a letter that said basically because of your attitude, your citizenship, and because of your grades, we're going to select you. And I think it was like 5 other students, something like that, low amount of students from the ROTC program to be able to get out of school for a week and go up to Oklahoma and stay on a military base with active military soldiers and be able to experience living on base for that week. What a great experience. So when we received that letter in the mail, we kept it. It went into his portfolio because that to me stood out. He was selected amongst his peers and stood out enough to be to have this opportunity, again, that keyword, opportunity, that he could go up to that military base. And so we use that at some point in his life, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's another type of thing that can go into the binder. Any kind of, I mentioned perfect attendance awards. Early on, you might get something definitely a little bit more for the younger age, some kind of award in the classroom of kindergarten or first grade. No problem. Put them in here. Granted, you're not going to use all of this as they enter the workforce in college, but you'll use a lot of it. But even if they don't use it, all those things that make them stand out and can build pride and build a good confidence level will be able to be in this binder. And just looking at that, man, what a confidence booster to what they've done as they look back. And I just think it's great. Other things could be if they're in some kind of special program at school. Maybe they are in a play or a musical performance, maybe something with sports or something, anything that puts them in the limelight, so to speak, would be something you would want to put in here. It shows the ability to perform, especially if they're doing a solo or something, that they have that confidence level, and it shows initiative. And any other types of awards or achievement. And they don't have to always be just about school. They could be, maybe you were a junior counselor at Vacation Bible School as your child got older. Maybe they could be some kind of accomplishment through Cub Scouts or Girl Scouts or Brownies or whatever. So again, it's not just school and it's not just academic. It could be tumbling or anything else. So this is where all those accomplishments are going to go. Obviously, it's not a place for trophies, but it's more that ribbons can be stored in here if you don't want to store them in your room or be on display, but definitely certificates would be great there. So that is tip number 2 of what you put inside the portfolio binder. All right, so tip number 3. How do you use the binder? Well, this is where it comes, the rubber meets the road here, guys. This is where I'm saying this is going to come invaluable to you as your child gets older. So we talked about how to build it. We talked about what goes in it. And now we're going to talk about how to use it. Well, my kids, and I'm going to admit this, they were not straight A students. In fact, they really don't care for education much at all. They go because they need to. They did enjoy some of their school years. Absolutely. They played football for many years. I have a couple kids that were in orchestra or choir, and to this day, they have some great memories about that. So it wasn't that they hated school. It just, they were not very academically driven. However, they have a hunger for history. Oh my word, they love history. To this day, they just find that just so intriguing. So because my kids were not straight A students, I pretty much knew, just based on seeing them, they were probably not going to be in the running for academic scholarships. To tell you the truth, there were kids that had way better scores than them. And I just thought, this is, they're never going to get into a college is what I thought. And I realized college is not for everyone. It wasn't for me. I didn't go to college. My husband didn't go to college. So, it wasn't that I was wanting them to go to college, but I wanted them, again, to have that key word today is opportunity. And what we ended up doing was, as I was beginning the journey, and I was already working on this. I started mine probably when my kids were in their late elementary years. Came up with the idea, sort of perfected a little bit more, and that's how we started using it for our clients. And I came up with this idea, and towards the first child getting about 16 years old and needing to look for a part-time job to cover some of his own expenses for a car, my idea was to go to this binder and help him create a resume, which is actually his dad did it, but with the help of the portfolio. And I can't tell you how much you forget what your kids are involved with. Especially if they have multiple things, how long they were involved with, what years they were involved with it. It just sort of, when you have multiple kids, and we had three sons, it just sort of washed together. I couldn't remember what sometimes. And even if it was just for a year, it was important that I gave notice to anything that he was involved with. So therefore, what we ended up doing is we created him a resume using this. I mean, think about it. When your kid has nothing to put on their resume, what do you put on their resume? They're 16. They're looking for their first part-time job. What do you say? Did chores around the house? Could be, but I'm thinking a little bit more than that. I couldn't. So this is where the binder came in. We started looking at all the awards, the accomplishments. I can't tell you, his resume looked awesome. So his first part-time job, with all this in tow, in a not in the binder format, but we put it all together for him, and he had his first interview at the city of Plano at 16 for Oak Point, being a lifeguard, and he immediately got the job. And they were extremely impressed with his organizational skills. They were actually mine, just so you know. But I gave it to him, let him look good with him, gave him, what's the key word today? Opportunity. And then lo and behold, he's organized today. I mean, he really is. My oldest son, not made so much with physical spaces, but I guarantee you with his time and his finances, he is awesome. He very meticulous. He keeps me on my toes, and I'm the professional organizer. I don't get it. Thank you, son, for taking up some of my qualities. So anyway, that helped. Creating a first-time resume was extremely important. So let's move forward just a little bit. And I'm going to go to our third son, the one that I talked about with the military invite during his ROTC years at his high school. Well, what ended up happening is he probably was the one that struggled most with academic grades of all of my children. And but he wanted to go to a university here within the Dallas-Fort Worth, and it wasn't a junior college. And we ended up having to, do the application, all that. And I was like, I have got to get him to stand out. Well, as this process began to unfold, I have to tell you, I learned a lot about what colleges look for. And in my mind, I'm thinking they're all academic. They only want students with outstanding grades, probably straight A's, have to be on honor roll all the time. And I was like, no, I found out that is not the truth. They highly they favor students that have a wide variety of extracurricular activities or community service. And I'm like, well, my son sort of excels there, but he doesn't excel in the grade level. So what did I do? I got my handy dandy portfolio of his, and I went through all of his extracurricular activities, including getting that letter from ROTC. He was a junior counselor at his church for Vacation Bible School. He went 1 year. He was too old to go as an actual kid, but he was able to go as a junior counselor and help out. And all those things added such value to his application at the college that he got accepted, which the key word is, he got opportunity that he probably would have never gotten had he only went off of his grades and maybe a few things he remembered up here to put on that application. So this portfolio is excellent. And again, they're going to appear backwards to you. But basically what this is just sheet protectors, certificate of excellence. There's a musical program, maybe the end of the school year report card. I know they're online, but you can print them out. They sometimes have great comments in there that you can put those types of quotes or comments from different teachers on their resume. It's a great way to get a quote from someone and not even ask them. And then perfect attendance. And then here's something I wanted to mention is start asking your kids, teachers or coaches or youth director, if they can give a letter of recommendation to your student or your child starting in the 8th grade level. And I say why 8th grade is because what it's going to do is build a history of character. Instead of just asking for all those references in 12th grade, you're going to be able to build every year on top of it. Even if you just ask for one or have the kid ask, or maybe you send in. And one student one of my sons asked, and all of a sudden he got back a letter of recommendation from his teacher, and it really stunk. That's like, that one's not being used. But it keyed me on some, it wasn't really that bad, but it wasn't one of those things that would going to give my son opportunity. So asking for letters of recommendation from your kid's youth director, from their coaches, from their teachers, I would highly recommend that you do that starting in 8th grade. And again, adding it to the portfolio and building them a history of outstanding character, because you're going to use this portfolio to help them get job applications or get part-time jobs, as well as, more importantly, possibly get them into college or opportunities to do other types of programs that, again, gives them opportunities above other people, because you're going to bring the good stuff. It's going to be organized. You're going to know when it was, what they were actually, you won't forget a thing. So I highly recommend it. I've used this with all 3 of my sons successfully, and I can't tell you, I didn't have to dig through boxes or files. It's extremely, extremely easy. So I hope you will build your child a portfolio. And again, go back and listen to part 1 and part 2. This is part 3 of organizing your kids' papers, including school papers. And you're going to come up with a whole system that we use for our clients when we're organizing their home. So that is all my tips today, and we're going to go on to the winner of last week. Last week we were giving away this locker shelf right here, and it went to a Deborah Baker. Deborah, congratulations. We'll be mailing this out to you as soon as we get in touch with you and get your address. And thank you for leaving a comment down below, and hope you enjoy, or someone enjoys in your family, the locker shelf. Today's giveaway is going to be called a Dinner Time Devotions. I've not used this all the way through, but have definitely used it. If you're looking for some quality time with your family around the dinner table, this is a great book to build biblical wisdom, character, and it really goes over things that your family basically goes through, especially your kids, but you all share feedback around the table, and it's made just for short little things around the dinner table. And I'm going to show you this. It's called Dinner Time or Dinner Table Devotions, and we're going to email you, Amazon you a copy of this if you are the winner of this week's giveaway. Now, how do you win this? Leave a comment down below of if you're going to build your child a portfolio, or if you have another type of paper that you need help with in organizing. We talked about 3 different types of paper. So if you have a area, like I've got something and none of your system seems to match that, let me know. Or tell me if you're going to be using the portfolio or have an idea. Really, any comment down below other than a thumbs up will get you in the drawing for this, and we will announce you next week on Tip Tuesday and then get a copy sent out to you. So hope you enjoyed that. I've loved that book. For what little I've used it, they were really solid, and talk about getting some deep conversation and not everyone on their cell phones at the dinner time. Worked wonderful. Okay. Our Tip Tuesday Tool of the Week. So many of you guys know I do a Tip Tuesday Tool of the Week. It's a product that I look for or have found or use personally or use for our clients. And this week, like any other week, I have my Tip Tuesday Tool of the week. And you guys may already know about this, but I actually have not used them before, and they've probably been out since the 1970s, and I'm just catching on. I'm a little slow. These are transparent self-sticky notes. Now, these are not just the little transparent tabs. I didn't know, and it's going to be appeared backwards just because of the way the app is, but it's transparent sticky notes. I like it because you can read a book or a magazine, put this right over the paragraph or the wording, and underline or circle things that are important for you to know. Now, how I tell this, when you read magazines and you want to do something with a magazine, maybe there's a website you want to go check it out. Maybe there's a product you want to buy. I mean, Martha Stewart magazines or Real Simple magazines or whatever, they always have things in there you want to go check out. So what I would do is, whenever you read magazines, whether it's, on the couch or bedside, keep these next to it, as well as a pen. And when you find something in a magazine, I mean, absolutely you can mark on the magazine if you want, no problem, but you might want to just tag it with sticky notes or something. So instead of keeping a highlighter, I mean, I guess you could keep a highlighter beside your bed too, but put this over the magazine and sort of determine or highlight what it is that you want to keep or do, or make a note to yourself. And I just love these things. I've not used them, but I'm gonna use them. I really like this. And this is going to come out of the package just for me as we're talking right now. And this is not a giveaway. This will be for me. And I'm going to use it and enjoy it. And boy, they're paper thin. Well, they have to be because they're transparent. But anyway, I found these at Office Depot. I don't know, a couple dollars. And you can get them there if you'd like. All right. So that's our Tip Tuesday tool of the week. Next Tip Tuesday, I'm going to be talking about organizing snacks. It's not just because it's back to school, but I like snacking. And I want to give you guys an idea of what you can do with your snacks to help better organize them in your kitchen, if that's where you keep them. Because we've got an odd family and not all of them are in the kitchen. We'll talk about that next week. Yeah, my family is really bad about hiding things. Just go with that for now. All right, so next Tip Tuesday, organizing your snacks and not hiding them in parentheses. All right, so also, if you guys find that you do need some help with organizing your kids' school papers, setting the system up and then you maintaining it, or even household papers, bills, insurance documents, what you keep for business and write off versus what you don't if you have a business, we can completely set you guys up on something like that and teach you the systems, and then you can maintain them, because we're going to give you a complete system for every type of paper. So make sure you leave a message down below if you need to contact us or message us through Facebook. Our website is getorganized.ws. You can always go through that and email us on the contact us button, but we'd love to hear from you. So that's about it for today. We are done with papers. We are done, like D-O-N, done. Don't forget, if you want to be in the drawing for the dinner table devotions, these are great for families to do small devotions at the table that are very family friendly. They're very highly motivated or geared towards building character, moral values, and asking questions that actually make them think about this type of stuff. And I think you'll find this will be useful in bringing your family together at the dinner table. Everybody needs to participate. And then you can, if you pass it around, maybe everyone could do a different devotion. Even if you only do this a couple nights a week, it's talking about the stuff that really matters. And I think this is really a good opportunity. That's our word of the day. So in order to win this, leave a comment down below about organizing our kids' school papers or household papers that they bring in. Would love to hear a comment if you're using any of these systems or are going to be using. But anything other than a thumbs up, we'll get you entered on that, and we'll mention you next week on Tip Tuesday as the winner. So y'all guys, tell everyone about Tip Tuesday. Share this Tip Tuesday with your friends and family. We give something away every week. Sometimes we pop into clients' homes or people's homes that open their home up to us. We can go in and give them some advice, and you get sort of real-time advice, and we're sort of on the fly to figure out what to do with their space. And I just think it's a really good resource to get free organizing advice. And we do have times that you can just message in during a show and ask your questions, and we would love to do that here in the future again too. So hope you will join us and continue to make Tip Tuesday awesome. Well, I'm Lorraine Brock with Get Organized, helping you get everything organized, including your home, business, and life, and we will see you next week on Tip Tuesday. Goodbye.